I think the definition of greatness is to inspire the people next to you. It's not something that lives and dies with one person. It's how can you inspire a person to then in turn inspire another person, that then inspires another person. And that's how you create something that I think lasts forever. And I think that's our challenge as people, is to figure out how our story can impact others and motivate them in a way to create their own greatness.
Welcome to the Welcome to the 3-on-3 podcast. That's right. You are tuned in to the number one basketball podcast in the universe. Thank you for joining us. I'm here with my guys, my amigos, my compadre, Evan. I am also here with Lou. Maybe, kind of, sort of.
I got bleached like Sammy Sosa.
We got the LA version of Lou here. Christian has stepped in for our boy Lou. Thank you, Christian. He put his clipboard down, unlaced his dress shoes, his loafers, put in his Grinch Kobe's. You know, he's
I can't afford
here.
that. I can't afford that. No, I missed every single time they dropped. I missed every single time.
My bad. I was,
I get PTSD. Thanks for bringing it up. Thanks for bringing it up. Thanks for bringing it up.
My bad.
I cry about it every night.
Okay, got it. Sorry. Thank you, Christian, for joining us on camera. We appreciate it. It's going to be a great show. Lou, we'll see you next week, bro. Keep your head up. So, guys, we're going to jump right into it. Starting off with the conference leaders, the Titans, the number one teams of each conference. We think that, you know what, at this point of the seasons, the records are pretty much what they are, at least for the top seeds anyway. Nobody's catching these number one seeds. And we're talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's right, the Cleveland Cavaliers. We're not in 2016. The Cleveland Cavaliers and the OKC Thunder. That's right, we're not in 2012. The OKC Thunder. They're locks for the number one seed in each conference. And we here at the 3-on-3 podcast think it's time. Well, it's past time to give these teams their credit.
Us and Charles Barkley. The 3-on-3 podcast and Charles Barkley.
You know what? He's about to come on. So, Charles, if
come in.
Just JK. We ain't got that type of money here, y'all. We definitely are on the same page. We're sick and tired of all these Laker segments. Oh, I'm sorry. We'll get to that later. I'm sorry.
Are we though?
We're never tired.
Not while I'm producing. We're always gonna have it. We're always gonna have it. You hear me?
I'm done. All right, y'all. So I'll start off with actually the Thunder. Since they played last as well too against the Nuggets, and they split that matchup. Evan, have the Thunder legitimize themselves this year as not only the number one seed, but a true championship contender? Are they legitimate? Are they in your book?
I think when you look at the West and how it's shaping out right now, and from where the Thunder have grown, we're in the third year of a growth trajectory for this team. I think you have to call them legitimate championship contenders. And here's part of the reason why. They're head and shoulders, at least from a regular season standpoint, above everybody else in that division. I think they have an 11-game lead in the West right now. I feel you, Pop Mamba. 11-game lead in the West right now. The depth that they show on a night-to-night basis is incredible. And really, SGA has taken another step. And we've seen it from year to year. Now, from a regular season standpoint, they're at a level where every single night they come out and they're giving teams the business. What they do in the second half, primarily the fourth quarters, where they're turning 5, 6, 7-point games into 15, 18-point games from a consistency of defense and transition basketball, it's incredible to see. And so you have a night, a weekend like we have with them in a back-to-back against Denver. The first game out, I feel, is really the big game, right? You get the 40 points from SGA, you get the convincing victory from the team, and that's the one where everybody shows up, and it's like, okay, time to square up and show one another where we're at this point. Give Denver credit, they bounced back and they won the second game of that back-to-back series. But I think when you have a game like that first night, that's a young team stepping up to a challenge and saying, hey, games like this are going to be playoff environment. We're going to show you that in this period of ramping up for the playoffs, we're not taking the foot off the gas for anyone. So I'm leaning towards the Thunder right now as we get into the playoffs.
All right, fake Lou. Pod Mamba, man, are you buying it, or are you still going with your allegiance as the Lakers owning the West and that the OKC Thunder are still young and they're frauds?
It's not that they're young. I just think that playoffs is all contingent on matchups. So if they have a bad matchup, they're going to get kicked out of the playoffs. And I'm hesitant to champion these number one seeds in the regular season because I've seen it time and time again where the number one seed doesn't make the NBA finals. So I like to just pause for a second and just wait and see. SGA won't get the free throw attempts that he's going to be getting in the playoffs. The refs ref a different game than they do in the regular season. So
I want to point that out. Thank you for bringing that up. Can we say that he is Harden level at drawing these fouls?
Yes. He is a foul merchant. He is a free merchant.
Like, it's bad though. Like, it's to the point now where it's like, all right, bro, he's literally throwing himself into these people and getting these calls. Like,
Yeah.
I was seeing it in these past Denver matches. I'm like, he's getting away with this.
His 40
How
point
long
games,
is that going to last?
his 50-point games, he has 10 plus free throws in those games.
So I don't put it quite at Harden level because of the myriad of ways in which he both gets his buckets and gets his fouls. Like, his game is so herky-jerky that it already keeps the defense off balance, that adding that foul hunting element to his game, it doesn't feel like a fraud like some other players. It feels like just another level of perfecting himself. You bring up the playoff part, right? And one of the things, that's going to be huge for them is, does his points per game go up or go down in the playoffs, and by how much, right? And so I look at it as him adding a layer to his game that's going to help him steal a couple more of those points, couple more of those possessions in the playoffs, because he kind of struggled last year in the playoffs. There are some games when he wasn't getting the level of production that he was, and the team kind of faltered without it.
But one would argue, though, Ev, those games where he struggled, he wasn't getting those calls.
I'm not.
And then his shot wasn't, because think about it, right? For him, players like him anyway, how they get going is if their shot's not falling, right? You drive it to the lane, you get the foul, and then you see it go through via free throw, right? That kind of gets your rhythm going. But if I'm not mistaken, from the last playoffs, if he's not getting those calls, right, it takes him longer to kind of get it going. And like you said, he didn't have the supporting cast to see him through.
So last season, his regular season numbers to his postseason numbers didn't really change. It was the same. It was like 30 points per game.
30.4, 30 points.
Even his free throw attempts were somewhat similar. So maybe he is not necessarily a playoff riser, but like he just does what he does.
Consistent.
He's
all the way
consistent.
through.
Yeah. At least from last season's standpoint. I'm trying to look at his like the season before 20, because the last time the OKC Thunder were in the playoffs was in 2020, and he wasn't SGA then.
Well, while you look that up, I mean, the key to it is it's gonna come down to Jalen Williams the same way it did last year, and I think that's a big question mark. Of he had the struggles last year. What's he going to look like in the postseason this year?
I think he's gonna struggle again.
Well, if he does,
But he has help this time though. He has Chet.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm thinking about it through. Weird kind of comparison came to me when I was thinking about this earlier. I kind of look at it like how Iverson's Sixers team was in 01, when Iverson was clearly the focal point of the offense, and the entire supporting cast was built around doing everything defensively and solidly just to create the platform for Iverson to take them over the top. I don't think it'll be quite that for OKC, because their offense, I mean, their overall offense is so egalitarian, and they have folks stepping up every night that are making contributions. But I can see some similar corollaries to where SGA is going to be the guy, and if he levels up in the playoffs, especially now that they've had that feeling of disappointment last year, I could take it carrying him over the top.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this to give him credit. In these past two matchups against Denver, he did show up, and that's one thing I also love about this OKC team. Before we move on to the Cavaliers, is they don't stop fighting. They get at it from beginning to end. They continue fighting. They have that youthful ignorance about them that as long as they're hunting, as long as they're going after it, they have a chance. And that's what I love about that, man. You love to see that. It gives you kind of like that pure basketball. You know, like they're out here just playing ball. They're not here for the lights or anything like that. They just want to win. They grow leads in the fourth. That's something that's very impressive. When you see a lot of teams, they'll come in with leads in the fourth and then they get tight, right? Games that shouldn't be games turn into games. OKC in the fourth, they turn games that should be games into blowouts, and that's impressive.
As long as they keep their defensive, like they're really good in defensive rating, their offensive rating. I mean, that's why they're number one in the NBA. If they could keep that up, then obviously they'll go far. But again, the postseason is a different animal. Are they able to keep that going in the postseason? Because then they're just the 2016 Hawks. So,
wow, the one that LeBron ran through, got it.
Well, and you're not wrong. I think that's where it's like, so with them, and as we kind of, we're gonna get into the Cavs and talk about them too. Teams that doubt is going to be there, right? The youth, can they do it in the playoffs? We'll talk about the Cavs as well. They're looking dominant enough in the regular season that it's starting to make me question the questions I have about them. I think that's just where I'm
more
at.
do they need to show you? Yeah,
they can't show me anything else until the playoffs start.
Yeah,
like they got Hardenstein for a reason, right? Because they couldn't keep up with big teams like the Timberwolves and the Nuggets. So, well, is Hardenstein really that guy that's going to take them over the top? Are they going to be able to beat those teams who are big in stature and could compete like that, or are they going to fold again? I guess, we'll wait and see.
I guess we'll see. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think their struggles will be offensively, but we'll see. Let's move on to the Cavs, guys. Let's move on to the Cavs. So, Cleveland Cavaliers are number 1 as well. Right now, as we're recording, 15 straight. They beat Brooklyn. I, for one, like Ev, was throwing up questions. Was like, I don't know, who's going to show up when the possessions are limited. And what I'm seeing, and I'll give Ev credit on this for throwing it out there, it's not so much Garland. Garland has stepped up, but Evan Mobley, he's making me a believer in this Cavs team. He's putting up numbers and he's being a force on the defensive end as well. And it's giving me hope. Also, the manner in which they took care of the Celtics when they were down 20-3 or whatever in the first half.
I think it was 25-3 first quarter.
Yeah.
And being disrespected at that.
Exactly. And the mentality, the fact, and that's what, to me, that's what won me over. That's what made me a believer in the Cavs. They had that mentality. They had all reasons to pack it in, and nobody would have held it against them. You get what I mean? Sometimes games get away from you, and we've seen teams so many times just say, you know what, it's not our night. Doesn't mean, we're not going to win again. Doesn't mean we're not the better team. It's just not our night, right? Well, let's just pack it in. We'll live to fight another day. The fact that they didn't pack in, the fact that they kept fighting, and it wasn't just Donovan Mitchell, and that's also the second thing that gave me more hope. Usually what we see from the Cavs last year is Donovan leading the charge, right? Scoring all the buckets, doing all the things. No, it wasn't just him. Evan Mobley was out here protecting the rim, was making shots. I, for one, man, I'm a believer. They won me over. I don't know if they're going to be an easy out like they've known to be. I see them going to the Eastern Conference Finals. I really do. I don't know if I'm ready to say championship just because the pedigree that comes with the Celtics and the experience that they have playing as a team. And then also no Kristaps. Kristaps is always a game changer. Whenever he steps on he truly is a unicorn, right? That changes the field. So we still have to give the Celtics credit there. But I don't know, fellas. I mean, Christian, am I seeing things wrong? Or I know you don't. I know you said earlier that you don't like to, call it so early, but that was a convincing win against the Celtics, man. You can't deny
everything I said about the Thunder. You can put on the Cavs.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean, let's give credit where credit due. Do we give more credit to the players and how they're playing, or do we give credit to Kenny Atkinson for what he has done to this team? The defensive mindset that he's put on this team. Because the first time I saw the Cavs play the Lakers, I'm like, what the heck am I watching? It looks like old Utah Jazz teams where they just like hound you, right? So, I mean, but I do put them in the same category as the Thunder's. Like they're doing all this in the regular season, and I just need to see it in the postseason before I could say anything. I mean, but the stats are telling, right? They're number 1 in the NBA in points per game. They're number 1 in 3-point percentage as a team. I think they're like 30. Oh, I have it right here. They're 39.3% from 3, and they attempt 41 of them. So I mean, if you take away the 3-point from them, they have Evan Mobley and Jared Allen to catch lobs, to do work in the post. So they could do it in multiple fronts. Darius Garland, he's showing me up because I called Darius Garland a slightly better version of D'Lo last year. And he is
making you eat your words, huh?
He's making me eat my words. He is a lot shiftier, a lot smoother. He's like a Kyrie light in my eyes.
Thank you, because I'm high on Garland, but somebody likes to bring me down to earth over here on this podcast.
Oh, is it the man? Is it the man above, right there with the NBA background? And
I was gonna say, man above's platitude's a little too high.
Right.
But as far as Cleveland goes, a lot of thoughts on this team. One, I just want to point out, we've been trying to talk about Cleveland now for about 2 months, and they've never firmly stuck onto our rundown. And a reason that I think it is that
All right, it's time to move on, Hans. We gotta go.
Yeah, we're done.
We're up against it.
right.
Yeah, we gotta get some MVP talking of
Well, I think we were I think we were dismissive of them because we didn't believe in them because of their playoff failures. And I think that the fact that we haven't said that about them in the past 2 months is in a way our way of showing respect to them, because it's like we didn't have anything bad to say about them, so we had nothing to say, if that makes sense. One thing that I found very impressive, we have not had a season in at least the last 15 years where a team both at the top of both conferences was on pace to lose less than 20 games and was also more than 6 games above the second place team. So this is the consecutively on both sides the most dominant that we've seen two teams in at least 15 years. So from a regular season standpoint, I mean, this does look like a collision course. I think the Cavs, and this is going to be a clunky analogy, but I'll try to stick it before we get off of this topic. Remember in 2015, I think, or 2014, the year after the Spurs lost to the Heat, and at that last second gut-wrenching loss, where they almost had a championship, and then the Heat come back and win, in the mission that the Spurs were on the next year. And when they showed up, it was solid play all the way through. And then once they got to the finals versus the Heat, they blew the doors off of them. I feel like to a lesser scale, this is where the Cavaliers have landed at after their last 2 years. An embarrassing disappointment 2 years ago in the playoffs where the Knicks really took their heart. Last year, make it to the playoffs, underwhelming against the Magic, and then just don't have a chance against the Celtics in part because of injury. Everybody's dismissed them, all the while they have this talent, but their heart's been questioned. You bring in a new coach, brings in some championship sprinkles from Golden State, some pedigree to them. And I just see a team that's firmly on the mission, head down. They're about getting their job done. They know that there's nothing they can do in the regular season that's going to answer questions about them. I feel like this is a team that's focused on kicking teeth in the mouth and showing up. So do I pick them to come out the East? I mean, I'm biased the same way Christian is in the West, but I definitely enjoyed by seeing them. I'll tell you that.
That analogy is so clunky, bro. I'm just gonna say it. I mean,
I appreciate it, man.
I have a hard time putting the Cavs in that category of like, oh, we feel slighted, so we need to go and just prove it to them this year. I mean, Donovan Mitchell was like a second away from leaving the Cavs because he didn't want to be there. So I can't even put him in that category of like, oh yeah, I need to come back and show everyone what I want to do, because he didn't even want to be with Cleveland. He only stayed in Cleveland. He only stayed in Cleveland because he got that big old contract.
So Go ahead.
Well, I thought you were gonna say that he has nothing to be slighted about.
Well, that too. I mean,
you have to lose.
They feel slighted because they got bounced in the first, second round. Like,
yeah, like it's not like they lost at the championship or yeah. I get where you're coming from. I thought that's where you were going with that. I'll say that, but I see what Ev's point is. Like it is a lesser version of it. I still think their true test, just like OKC, is going to be in the playoffs. That's just the end
I'll tell you right now, if they're the finals teams, I'm not watching. The lowest rating NBA finals.
That's not the lowest rating.
Well, okay, hold on.
100% it will be.
Hold on, no, because not saying I want this, but if it's Cavs Lakers,
okay, but that's different. That's LeBron.
That's not different. The Cavs are in the finals, and the storyline alone. That's what
there's no story with Thunder Cavs. That's what I'm saying.
I feel you.
So Chuck over here bitching about no one's talking about the Cavs and the Thunder, and everyone wants to talk about the Lakers, the Warriors, and the Boston Celtics. Like, duh. Like these are the biggest rating boosters in the NBA. Did you not see what Celtics Lakers pulled on Saturday? What was it?
True.
The
Those
peak
are
was 5.3 million.
Things were pulled on Saturday. Yes.
Well,
Yes.
I'm not
yes.
I'm not asking what's going on in your bedroom, all right, Evan.
Whoa.
All right, we'll end with that though. On Chuck's point, though, I think he does have credence on that. I think the media has to hold some accountability when it comes to the narratives that are put out there. Now, granted, big markets are big market teams, right? They're gonna get the conversation. They're gonna get the spotlight by just virtue of their size. But I think there is some truth to, hey, we have good teams here, and you want to talk about these teams that are struggling. That's also one of the quote unquote problems with the NBA. We're fascinated by these shiny big market teams, and we need to give more light to X, Y, and Z. I get where he was coming from. I don't think he can see past his bias, though, in the sense of he clearly has a disdain for
He's a
how
hater. He's a hater.
he clearly has a disdain for how certain people in the Laker organization have been critical of his commentary, and you know he's been going back and forth.
He's so mad that trade was rescinded back in the the 90s. And it was gonna go to the Lakers. He's still mad about it.
Listen, man, he's going back and forth with you guys for a
He's
while.
like Mark Williams from the Hornets, still mad.
Yeah, but at the same time, though, like Chuck doesn't watch enough TV to be the expert on what's being covered. Okay, he barely knows who's on what teams anyway. So it's kind of like the pot calling the kettle, because who he play for, that's a game after Chuck. Okay, because he doesn't know who's on other teams. So you, as somebody who is not, it's literally your job to pay attention and watch NBA basketball. You, who's somebody who doesn't know the players on the other team, unless they're the big names, are sitting out here calling these people out. You got to relax on that. But I get the noble intent, though. I get the noble intent in that these struggling bigger market teams shouldn't be taking some of the shine away from these excelling smaller market teams. That's all I want to point out.
The NFL is the only sport that doesn't have that problem. So there's the fact that we keep having this conversation every year, every couple years, we're never going to get past it. I don't think that small market versus large market visibility for, especially like your finals or whatnot, is the ultimate measurement of viability of your league. Okay, if we have a finals with two teams that not as many people are gonna watch, yeah, you lose a couple dollars off the top. You got your $11 billion media deal already signed already. You'll be okay.
Evan, when I hit the buzzer, it means move on. All right.
All right, y'all. Let's move on.
I miss overtime.
Let's move on to some MVP talks. Okay. We had the clash of the former MVP Jokic, and I don't know what the standings are now. Is Shea still one?
I think he's minus 600 to win, so he's
still number one. He's still leading it.
Hold on, I'm looking it up.
Maybe not minus 600. He's the favorite though.
Okay,
get me right, Pop Mamba.
Yeah, from in front of the curtain. So we had the clash of the two MVPs, Denver versus OKC. We had great performances from both teams and from both MVP candidates. Joker dropped against, was it Detroit, though? He dropped with 30, 20, and 20. He dropped a triple-double against the Thunder as well. Shea out here dropping 50 balls. They're balling out of their minds. Now, with the matchup being split, does the favor go to SGA since he was the front runner? Anyone can answer.
I'm going to flip your question on you.
Disrespect.
I know. How do you define your MVP?
See, it's just, if you wanted to run the segment, you could have just ran the segment.
I just, listen, man, I'm off balance without my guy Lou here, so I'm
Oh, I'm here.
I get it.
I'm here.
Yeah, right. You matter. You matter, Christian.
So SGA is still a large favorite. It's like it averages like not negative, but minus 450 for SGA and plus 320 for Nikola. So
okay. So
around there.
to answer your question, Ev, I'll answer it in Ev fashion in two parts. What the MVP should be and what it is are two different things. I think the MVP should be the best player in the league. And the best player in the league to me is Nikolai Jokic. He's the best player in the league, in my opinion. Now, what it is typically is the guy who's playing well and also has the best story and narrative. And Shea has that right now. He's playing out of his mind. He's keeping his team at the top of the conference, and it's convincingly so. There's no question about it. So I think Shea's going to get it by virtue of that. He has the better story. And also, Nikolai just came off with 2 MVPs. So, but in my opinion, I think the MVP is the undisputed. You roll the ball out there, and who's the best player? I think that's Nikolai, man. That guy's doing things that.
But is there voter fatigue on giving Nicholas this MVP award? Because this would be his 4th, and that's getting towards that upper echelon of like Jordan. Was it Jordan? How many Jordan?
Jordan,
yeah. Kareem.
Jordan,
Did Kareem have 4?
Yeah,
he
they had 5.
Yeah,
both
so I mean,
wait, Jordan had 5. I know that.
Yeah,
did Kareem have 5? Kareem had 5 too.
So when you give him 4, I mean, like LeBron, right? LeBron
has 4.
He's gonna be put into that category, and I think they're just, it just comes too easy to Jokic. I don't know how to say it. It just comes too easy. Though? I know it's not. It's not. But like personally, like I hate giving him awards because he just doesn't give a fuck, and that kind of pisses me off. That he is so good, but like is so indifferent about awards or anything NBA related. Is like, then why should we care about giving you anything?
Can I ask you a question, Christian?
What?
Were you a Jordan fan?
I was a Kobe fan, so in proxy, yes.
Okay, could one not argue that Jordan didn't care? He left the league.
I wasn't old enough to watch Jordan play. The only Jordan I remember was the Wizards Jordan. That's how young.
Oh, okay.
That's,
all right.
that's,
Ev, I'll talk to Ev then.
I'm in that age group, you know.
All right, well, I'll talk to Ev. Ev, could we not argue that Jordan had some indifference, golfing, smoking, left the league for a year, came back? You know, like could we not argue that he had some of that indifference, and it came easy to him too, because he got voter fatigue too. Some would argue he should have got more than 5.
Yeah, so Karl Malone definitely took one of his. Jordan should have had 6. Quick clerical. So Kareem had 6. Bill Russell and Jordan have 5.
Bill Russell doesn't count. It was between him and Wilt and Bob Cousy.
Cut it out. Cut it out, Mr. Laker. But I'd argue the flip side for Jordan. I'd argue that Jordan was so competitive that's the reason when he wasn't playing basketball, he was golfing, gambling, etc. He wanted to win everything, including every MVP award and every scoring title and every championship. And
defensive player of the year.
Yeah, defensive player of the year. He got burned out because he retired because of burnout for being too competitive. To the MVP. So I go back and forth on this. I do. And I don't know if my answer is going to be the same as what I give 2 weeks from now, but where I land on it at this moment, in addition to voter fatigue for Jokic, I think part of the argument for SGA is you have one team that has gone on a trajectory from play-in to 1 seed to dominant 1 seed in the span of 3 years with relatively the same roster, and you can chart it with a continued leveling up of their best player, right? Is that more valuable than a player? Is that less or more valuable than a player that has been, albeit having probably hit the best season of his career, has been relatively consistently excellent over the course of now about 5 seasons. And his team, their record has gone from NBA championship level to mid-round level over the course of those next 5 years. I think the trajectory of SGA's team in conjunction with the trajectory of his play is what makes him a slightly more convincing MVP argument for this season.
For the story.
In part, yes. In part
much so for
because
the
that
story.
is a narrative that is also tied into what is factually a team that is improved and has gotten better. So yes, it makes the two marry together more easily.
That's the thing I hate about the MVP award too, is that I've heard from multiple reporters already that it is very narrative based, which I kind of hate, because you would think it would be about performance and where the team is, but it's not. Sometimes it's more just about the story. And that's why Kobe only has one, because they didn't like Kobe back in
Comes back
05.
to
I'm just making
Oh,
a
we didn't even
I'm
get
just
to the
making a
Lakers
comparison.
segment yet, man.
I'm just making a
Jeez.
comparison. I'm just making a
Shaq's
comparison.
mad, Kobe's mad, so Steve Nash just took both of y'all. So
But they didn't like Kobe back then. The voters didn't want to give him that award,
You could
even
have
though
used any other example. Russell Westbrook winning an MVP because he averaged a triple double while his team was what, a seven
seed.
seed.
Yeah,
You could have
but
used
it was
that
the first
example.
time, wasn't it? It was the first time
was
that
the
an NBA player
first.
averaged triple double in NBA season, right? That was
No, Oscar was the first.
No, Oscar did it.
I think
but
Oscar
he
did
won the
3
MVP
years.
when he did it, didn't he?
Who, Oscar?
Yeah, when he averaged triple double,
that
he
I'm
won
not
MVP.
sure.
I think.
But
I'm talking out my ass.
No, you're good.
It sounds
You're good.
right. It sounds right.
We'll go with it.
yeah, we'll roll with it, man. You know, who
But-
knows if he hasn't.
I'm kind of like, I'm in that mindset with SGA where I'm kind of already seeing those. I hate stand accounts. I can't stand NBA stand accounts anymore. You know, SGA Muse. I can't stand them because the nonsense that they say about prior players in the NBA history tandem, like the top 10, and them already saying if SGA gets an MVP, we're gonna start talking about, is he better than Kobe? And I'm like, oh my god, now I don't want SGA to win MVP
It's the best non-Jordan scoring season from a guard that is projected to win over 60 games ever. That was a SGA Muse line for you. True though, but that's what it's projected to be. Take what it means as you see, but
I don't know. I don't know what to do with that information.
But I'll refrain from Kobe slander. But I mean, it's funny that you bring up the Kobe comparison though, because
I mean, I do see it, but it's such a different game. It's so open. If Jordan and Kobe had this type of openness in the NBA, in the modern NBA, how many points will he score?
I mean, how many points will Wilt score?
That's right, but yeah, that too. How much would
true.
Shaq score? I mean, there's no real center out there anymore. It's like maybe 3, 4.
I want to. Okay, I'm gonna ask this real quick. It's a little off topic, but I gotta ask it. You bring the Lakers back into everything.
Yes.
How do you think the Knicks feel, if you're really honest with them, that they didn't pull the trigger on that Donovan Mitchell trade?
What does that have to do with MVP?
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. That was last segment. How much do you think the Clippers are kicking themselves?
Oh, that's another reason
SGA
why
trade.
I kind of want SGA to win, is just because they're like, oh, you guys just traded an MVP for Paul George, who didn't do jack shit for you guys, and now is wasting away in Philadelphia. And what do you guys have to show for it? A brand new stadium, and half the attendance.
It's amazing.
You're hating you strong, Christian.
I like to
The hating
channel in
you
my
strong.
my inner Charles Barkley sometimes.
The
So
hating you strong.
I'll ask another question. I think we all agree it's SGA Jokic or Jokic SGA top two.
Yeah, man. Giannis is making a run. I predicted
That's what I was
it.
gonna ask. Who's your
Man,
third? Who's your third?
Giannis.
Clearly Giannis.
Clearly, he's on a run right now. Even though his team sports a record similar to the Knicks in terms of not being able to beat top seeded teams in their conference. So they're saying that if you can't beat the top teams and you're an MVP, I don't think he's going to get any further.
So right now it says Steph is number 3, but there's no way.
I mean, they're on a winning streak though, so it could have changed.
No.
Because Golden State is what, they're 5 or 6? 5?
I think I think Giannis.
Mm-hmm.
I think Giannis and Jason Tatum should be after Jokic and SGA. Maybe LeBron, just because of what he's doing right now.
Here we go. Let's just get into it.
No. Let's just be real for a second. I mean, I give LeBron a lot of flack, but as a 40-year-old, he's still averaging better points than he did back in 2013. So I mean,
listen,
the Lakers
are
are
taking anything away from
The
that.
game,
I'm just saying.
game's so much more wide open right now. If it was like this in 2013, LeBron would have averaged 40 points.
I agree. I mean, Kobe averaging 34 points in 2006. I mean, imagine what he would be scoring right now. He would be like over 40 points a game.
Oh, jeez.
You got all this openness, and these players still can't get 34 points a game. Unbelievable.
Can't wait till the
These guys are bums.
technology is good enough to bring all these old players back so we can see them.
All
in
the
today's
AI?
game.
Oh, it's called
Right.
it's called NBA 2K.
That's true.
The technology is here, Evan.
It's here.
You would know that if you still had your PS5. But
Yeah, he gave it up. I was about to say he gave it up,
bro.
man.
He gave it up.
Don't tempt my man. Don't make him
Leave
fall
my
off the
business
wagon,
out of
man.
this, okay?
You need a release, Evan. You need to decompress when you get home from work. You go ahead and buy that PS5 and that new
I'll talk to
2K.
you
Speaking of
guys once a week.
releases, speaking of
Oh my
releases,
God.
LeBron got a release. So let's shift to the almighty Lakers since we have to talk about them. It's the quota required for this show to be put on air.
Yeah, I'll mute you
Most
guys if
people
you
don't
guys
know.
don't.
Exactly. The Lakers, after having, what was that, an 8-game winning streak, Christian?
Yeah, yes.
So 7 or 8 game winning
I
streak.
think it was 8. Yeah.
I think it was 8 as well. They lost. But not only did they lose, they suffered an injury to one of their best players, 2 of their best players actually, because Luka looked like he had some lower back injury, if I'm not mistaken, right?
They say he's dealing with the lower back,
right.
with all the shoving that the Knicks did to him. You know.
Got you. Yeah, because those Knickerbockers.
Play real
are just-
basketball.
How about Brunson stop foul baiting like SGA? How about that?
Oh wow.
I thought the NBA said players shouldn't jump into other players to get fouls, and yet that's all Brunson does. He jumps into players.
Legitimate fouls are still called.
Okay, I'm just saying.
I mean, I saw a LeBron clip the other day, and they say he hurt his groin flopping. If I'm not mistaken.
Maybe I don't know.
LeBron, look, here's the truth.
I'm
LeBron hurt his groin because he decided to play defense for 8 games. That's why LeBron hurt his groin. He got happy.
He's gonna come back like, see, this is why I don't play any defense.
This is why I don't play defense. Because he got happy. He has Luka. He got amped up. It's a breath of fresh air. He's playing hard D. Pause.
No, the Celtics, Al Horford turned into prime Scottie Pippen for some reason. On Saturday, he rewound himself 6-7 years. He looked like his old Hawks days. He looked like his old Hawks days. He was getting down. He was getting low.
What they did do though.
He was getting low. He was moving his feet. You know, I've never seen Al Horford do that all season.
Stop it. What they did do is they got Drew back just in time. Everybody came back.
How convenient. Except Kristaps. I really thought he was going to come back.
You thought he was going to come back because it's the Lakers game?
Yeah.
If it would have been LA, he would have came back.
But Drew did come back, and Al was listen, man. Al was doing his thing with Luca. I love to see it. Put that slow mo in a defensive
and
grinder.
LeBron. He was doing it both.
Yeah, I would say Luca more though. Like he was straight up like grabbing. You know how Luca do the James Harden thing where he puts the ball out there to foul bait you?
Mm-hmm.
Al would literally take the ball away, and that to me was just telling.
One things I hate about Luka's game is his
foul baiting?
insistence. Yeah,
On the foul, that's his game though.
but he's good enough to not do that. Like
Is he?
I
It's
think
those
so.
free points, man. It's those free points. I tell you, and I agree that like I hate that that's a part of basketball, but when your job, I mean, when you're paid millions of dollars to score 8 points a quarter, I heard Melo talk about this. He said he learned it from Jordan actually, when talking about how he goes about knowing you've got to be the guy every night that's paid to put that 26 to 30 up every night for your team. And he said Jordan taught him to break it down segmented, right? You're aiming for 8 points a quarter. And how you get is how you get, jumper, 3, 2 free throws, you're there, right? That was actually 9, but don't worry.
No one hears that.
Hey, we're rounding here.
No one's hearing that.
But basically, that's how he said to break it down. So when you look at it that way, if I come down on a possession and boom, I can automatically bait you for 2, right? At the free throw line. All right, I'm 1/4 of the way to my 8 already, regardless of what else happens. So
you wouldn't think it would take too much. Like you think about 8 points a quarter, like that shouldn't be a lot, and yet
it is, though.
it is. Yeah,
It is.
Luka needs to find out real quick that he won't get the calls that he was getting in Dallas with the Lakers. They just won't. They won't call it.
The
refs won't.
Most free throw shooting team of like the last 4 seasons.
I don't think they're that. I don't think they're that this season.
No, y'all like.
Yes.
I mean, this season
the Lakers are up there for
I know
free
y'all.
throws.
Hold on, I'm fact checking you guys right now. I'm
fact.
fact checking you guys right now.
Let's come up with more lie. I mean, let's just
come up with more.
We're not. Look,
you're
we're
talking
not
about the team that has opposing teams has called more technical fouls against opposing teams. Yeah, he sees the stat right there. He's like, "Oh my goodness."
Hold on. All right, hold on.
Yeah. Go back to 1974 to find.
So in 2022, 2023, the Lakers were number 1 in free throws attempts. Right. Last season there were 2. So they've been decreasing, And this season they're at a modest. They're modest. All right,
3.
Modest 4th best.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Christian. Thanks.
Somehow the Hawks and the Magic are ahead. What the hell?
Well, I mean, the Magic plays slugfest every night. So
Trae Young with the Hawks.
Trae Young with there's another foul baiter right there.
Yeah, Trae Young definitely.
Memphis number 1, by the way.
Makes sense.
So, man, grit and grind, baby.
Makes sense.
It's grit and grind for Memphis, but when the Lakers do it, they're just foul baiting?
Laker exceptionalism, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, man. That big market privilege, man. Big market privilege, man.
There's no way you guys saw that Celtics game and didn't think that they weren't calling fouls for the Lakers as they were with the Celtics. I gotta give the Celtics credit because they did hound the Lakers. Their defensive game plan was incredible.
I thought they let them play. I thought they swallowed the whistle on both ends. I didn't think it was more one side than the other. I thought
am I thinking about the Knicks game then that they were just giving Brunson all those ticky tack fouls and then they wouldn't call it for.
But the Celtics games I felt like was called pretty close because Luka got some calls. I'm like, all right, bro. That's one thing I hate about this game. The complaining.
Yeah.
That he does and the text he gets. It's like
we got two of them. We got LeBron and Luka.
Yeah, it's like,
who the hell is going to be defending?
It's unnecessary right now. It's unnecessary. But I do want to ask you a Laker question real quick.
Yeah, the Lakers are cooked without LeBron right now.
That's what I was gonna say. How are you guys going to tread water without LeBron right now? What's the game plan?
We need AR to step up, but he's just been ass. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. He's been awful. I don't know if it's because of his calf and he came back too early, just not feeling right. But
he doesn't fit in. He needs
No,
the
he
ball, Christian.
no.
Between LeBron and Luka, who's gonna give him the ball?
AR could play off ball. He looked great
Y'all
with Luka and LeBron before he got injured.
Y'all been kind of using him as like the pseudo point to start the
but he doesn't.
In
His
the
points have
beginning of the
gone
season.
down. His points have gone down.
No, Hans, go back before he got injured when Luka was there with LeBron. He was still averaging like 20 points a game.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
he just
wild.
hasn't looked right. Like his movements haven't been right. Like, or he's hesitant on shooting.
Are you saying injury is the reason his points have gone down?
Either he hasn't recovered and he's just playing on an injured calf still, or he's still trying to get used to, or he's not like what's the word? He's not comfortable in extending his or using his calf like he used to, you know, like with any injury, right? Like a football player, if he tears his ACL, it kind of takes him a while to kind of trust his knee. Maybe he doesn't trust his calf right now, or
calves are scary because they're tied to your Achilles. So I can understand that.
Soft tissue.
Yeah. I can. I didn't know he was dealing with that. I just figured the Luka effect, because although Luka and LeBron were playing, Luka, don't forget, he wasn't averaging 20 at first. Remember, he had 8, 11, you know, so like he was still kind of coming up, but then
he's been getting 30-point games, and I don't know how he's getting them because I'm watching the game, and all of a sudden at the end of the game, I'm like, how the hell do you have 32?
I'm telling you,
it's
from? Like it's with those slow-mo deceleration Euro steps, and he just pops it in, and it's just,
I don't know where he's getting these 30-point games, but yeah, if AR is not stepping up, I think the Lakers are cooked because they need another scorer, and especially if Rui's not going to be playing for at least another week. With his knee, I think it's a knee strain that he has to deal with, and Rui is a big part in our offensive game plan. Dorian Finney-Smith didn't play last game against Brooklyn, and that's a big reason why we lost as well. Jackson Hayes is a punk, and he doesn't want to, he always gets injured and he doesn't play on his knee, so we can't rely on him. And obviously LeBron brings a big part of our game, but the Lakers should be good enough to win games without LeBron, but AR does need to step up, and we need to get Rui back big time.
Gotcha. Do you think you'll stay in the playoffs, or are you going to play in?
Hans, we're third place right now? Like what are we talking about? Of course they're gonna make the playoffs. Let's stop bullshit.
No, meaning, are they gonna stay in? I don't have to play in the play-ins, or are they gonna drop in the play-in?
Okay, well
because those separation, there's only 2 games
right now
separating.
Well, as of today, on Tuesday, March 11th, we are 4.5 games ahead of Minnesota, who's 7th right now. So I think so. But we do have.
I got a tough 4-game
we have the Bucks on Thursday, the Nuggets Friday on a back-to-back. Goddamn. Suns on Sunday, and then Spurs, and then Nuggets again next Wednesday. So and the Bucks next Thursday. Jesus. We won't get a break until we play the Bulls on Saturday.
I might do 5.
Shout out to Lou.
I might do 5 on that stretch. 500. Cut it
Y'all
even. Y'all might get the Spurs. Y'all get one of the Bucks.
Best case scenario, yeah. I think best case scenario, we win a couple of those, but I don't know. The Bucks might be mad because Halliburton beat them in a 4-point play, so they might take it out on us. I really don't know who's going to guard Giannis. That was AD's job, and now we don't have AD. I don't know who's going to guard him.
I think y'all fall to 4 or 5. I think the league is, if the league gets involved, it'll be a 4 or 5 against Golden State. If the league doesn't get involved, it'll be a 4 or 5. We'll call it maybe Minnesota, because Houston has not looked good for a month. But I think y'all will be.
They're on a 3-game winning streak right now.
They
just throwing that out there.
I mean, before that, they were.
Yeah, I mean, they went from 2 to 5. You're right.
Yeah,
they went from 2 to 5.
I think what do you guys think? Do you guys think Luka is still not in shape? Because
of course,
no, he's not in shape.
He's not, right?
That's the back. I think that's the back.
He's not getting separation. He's not blowing by people.
He's slow gaming. He's playing like slow-mo.
Even in warm-ups, you watch him and his warm-up, which it probably has always been, but his warm-up routine is even a slow enough of a move to take a contested shot over somebody.
He's playing the
Right.
old man game. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely.
A conservative, athletic wise game. Like, I'm just, like you said, I'm going to make my move. It's not going to have a lot of power, but just enough to get my shot off, or the shot that I want to get off. Here's my question to you guys, though. Where's that balance for what you're playing for? Because one would argue they have a long-term goal and plan in mind. And given that these 2-star players are somewhat injured and hurt, do you think they should take the chance, given their high standing right now, and push and go for it? Or should they play it safe before we move on to
Play it safe. Play it safe as in
LeBron.
what? Like not like let Luka rest and give him days off, or
Not rush LeBron back, and back issues
well,
and
LeBron has a
everything like
groin
that.
issue, so I mean that groin issues are like hamstrings. It's soft tissue, so I mean you can't rush that back. I think he's gonna be gone at least 2 weeks. At least
and
that's
then
8
Luka's
games.
back. Back issues are nagging. You don't.
I don't think Luka's back thing is really anything. I think it's just a maintenance issue.
He just has a big back. That's what you're saying.
His back is sore because he's carrying the team.
Lose a couple more of them love handles. That's all.
That's what you're saying. It's his big
gonna
back.
work his way back.
He carried this team and it's so sore. He's a little maintenance.
But your question does drive a little concern, though, because now with all these players out, right, do you tax Luka more than you intended to in order to stay competitive in these games while you tread water? That's you don't want to risk, because again, he's coming back from a calf thing of his own.
Yeah,
right.
That's why he was out for Dallas.
The biggest question I have is, does Luka actually know the Lakers playbook? Because we've been playing too much freelance ball since he's been here.
He is the playbook.
It's the Luka's playbook now. They changed the name on it.
Yeah.
No, when Luka actually run, like when we run plays with Luka, like horns or whatever, the Lakers points per possession is extremely higher as opposed to like a freelance, high screen pick and roll, where everyone's just staying around. When the Lakers players are actually doing something to like free up, their teammates or whatever,
generate offense.
Generate offense. I think I saw a stat that they're generating like 1.3 points per possession if they actually ran a play, and like 0.7 points per possession if it was just a freelance. And they've been running less sets as each game has gone on the last 6 games. So that trend is not going where we needed to go. So I don't know if that's because that's JJ not calling sets or not calling plays, or if it's just that Luka's still trying to figure out how to actually run these plays because he's not familiar with it and LeBron's not there to help him. So I don't know how that's gonna work out, but I guess we're gonna see how the Lakers play these next few games with tough opponents. It's gonna say a lot.
He probably hasn't done too much non-LeBron, non-Rui, scattered Austin Reeves sets in practice.
We're playing G Leaguers, in rotational minutes right now. So, I mean, that says a lot.
All right, with this final 7 to 8 minutes we have left, let's talk about the Stephen A. LeBron beef. So apparently LeBron confronted Stephen A. at a game and basically let him know, keep my son's name out your mouth. All right, just keep it out your mouth. And Stephen A. didn't say much there, of course, on site. But when he got back to First Take and he got back to his show, he had some choice words. And in summation, I'll say from what I've seen, he was basically saying, one thing he pointed out was he didn't see an NBA player. He saw a father there who was advocating for his child and letting him know what he said was out of bounds. But then in Stephen A. fashion, he said, but I wasn't talking about your son. I was talking about you. I was criticizing you. I didn't say anything negative about Bronny per se. All my criticism and judgment was about you, and continued to criticize LeBron for not addressing him in a different manner, saying, you have my number. You have people who are close to me's number. People who are close to you have my number. You could have done this differently, and didn't like how, it was done publicly, et cetera, et cetera. What are you thinking about these antics that are going on in this confrontation between Stephen A. and LeBron James?
Let me go first, Evan. I just want to keep it brief. I think Stephen A is full of shit. I don't have a son. And I would do the same thing if I did. Because Stephen A is a slimy ass motherfucker. Sorry for cursing.
No.
Well, actually, I'm not
going to
sorry,
be
I curse
invited
a
on
lot.
First Take.
I don't care. And he's slimy because he says that, but he's using LeBron as well. He's not making fun, but he's downgrading Bronny's game, and he's talking shit about Bronny, but presenting it as like he's talking about LeBron. Like he's using LeBron as a precursor to shit on Bronny and his game, which Bronny's actually been doing pretty well in the G League.
He's balling in the G
I'm
League.
glad he's progressing. Like he's going to be an okay player, I think. But the fact that Stephen A is using LeBron's name and Bronny's name to build up his ratings is kind of slimy as hell in my mind. He likes to play victim when they call him out on it.
Two media titans clashed on a Friday night, and the content won.
Hey,
for both of them.
Well, LeBron didn't put out his he hasn't done any of his podcast stuff yet, so LeBron's not going to air anything out like that. Not that.
I continue to not understand. I understand why we're so invested in the story of Bronny James. I continue to not understand the outrage behind how good he is or isn't. There are 4 players on every NBA roster that I can't name, neither me nor Charles Barkley. So the charade that all that is good with the NBA is blown to smithereens by Bronny James having an NBA contract. Why do we care so much? I understand why we care so much, but why do we fake this outrage so much?
No, and it's facts, and I think it's because it's LeBron. Because I was talking to somebody the other day. I was like, "Yo, don't get it twisted. Yes, Bronny may be the last person on the Lakers bench, but he will still outplay any regular person walking on this earth. Like his game is still at that level. I think it's just the unfortunate shadow of LeBron casting over him. That's just what it is with Bronny. I will say about this whole incident per se, though, is that I love how LeBron addressed Stephen A. You talk about my kid in public, I'm gonna address you in public. I like that energy about it. I, for one, would have had more respect for Stephen A if he kept his braggadocious energy and gave it back to LeBron. But I also understand he said who he was with, and I think one of the people that was next to him was like his boss or something, or his manager or something. I don't know. But anywho, so I get why he didn't kind of go back and forth with him right then and there. But yet and still, I think to Evan's point, we would have got better content if you somehow got you two in the same room and had your conversations. I think that would have been the content we would have loved to see.
But that's not how Stephen A rolls. Right, he says something, he gets confronted by LeBron, he cowers.
But he invited KD on First Take, right? You remember when he had the whole beef with KD?
Why would KD do that? That doesn't serve him anything. I'm not
disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing. But, that's neither here nor there.
This is why he's slimy. Anyways.
Yeah, but Bronny's doing his thing, man. I see Bronny as being, his ceiling is being Josh Hart. That's what I see Bronny being.
I'll take that. I like Josh Hart.
Yeah. The Knicks Josh Hart. Not the Laker Josh Hart. All right,
what's wrong with you?
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. As always, please check us out on our socials. We're on YouTube. We're on IG. We're on TikTok. Lou, we'll see you next week. Christian, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate
Pod
you, sir.
Mamba.
This man, he not only coaches, he plays, he laces them up, man. Thank
Don't
you
make
for
me do this
allowing us-
again.
Oh, okay. He'll be back next week. All right, guys. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.
What's up, guys, and thanks for listening. I want you to do two things for me right now. One, give this episode a thumbs up, and two, be sure to subscribe to our channel. You can also follow us on all the socials at the 3on3 Podcast and send us an email at the 3on3podcast@gmail.com. We appreciate you, and tune in next week.